Welcome to the second episode of Gods of Martial Arts English, where legends of martial arts rise, and a promotion that truly celebrates ancient martial arts tradition while celebrating MMA fighters as legends and gods of martial arts. Here today we have Pierre Desdevises, a huge influence in the grappling and martial arts community here in Vietnam. He has a very interesting story, which is actually kind of almost backwards, where he learned Vietnam martial arts in France.
Yep.
Pierre,
yes.
Please, could you share a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so as a kid I started martial arts in France. As like normal kids, I want to do Kung Fu. Mind you, it was back in the 90s, so it's a bit old time now. But I wanted to do martial art, I wanted to do Kung Fu, so I went to my local sport complex, and there was no Kung Fu, but there was Vo Co Truyen in Vietnam, which is the traditional Vietnamese martial art. And so then tried it, and I really enjoyed it. So I did it for 15 years, kind of.
Yeah.
15 years, that was amazing, that was great. I thought I was an accomplished fighter and everything. And then I moved to Vietnam after that because I really love Vietnam. So after my uni, I went to Vietnam and cross-trained with judo players. So, ground is interesting. Ground is interesting.
Let's back up a little bit. Tell us a little bit about this Vietnamese martial art. I mean,
Okay.
It's very different than what we're used to in MMA. In MMA, we're used to like Muay Thai, the boxing,
Exactly,
grappling, and wrestling. But this involves a lot of different things
Yes,
that
yes.
us martial artists aren't used to. Can you share a little bit about what it's like to train with that Vietnamese martial art, with the sticks and stuff?
Okay, so yeah, Vo Co Truyen, which literally means traditional Vietnamese martial art in Vietnamese. They try to be an holistic combat sport. So you would have locks, you would have obviously kicking, kneeing, elbowing, almost everything is allowed. As a matter of fact, they also in Vo Co Truyen have a form of competition which is a bit like GMA is trying to do. They call it Vo Co, which means free fight.
Okay.
So they do that obviously because it's a sport. They still have some rules. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we train absolutely everything, and yeah. So there is a little bit of ground as well. Let's face it, it was mostly stand up, but there's a little bit of ground. So that was really cool. And my teacher, interesting story, was in a wheelchair after a motorbike accident. Yeah. Tetraplegic, so he could literally only move his arm. And he was teaching us a very different way that I still use now in my teaching, because he verbalized, he actually put words on every action, very detailed, so you do have a plan in your head.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting.
That's actually very interesting, because my father, studied martial arts.
Okay.
As when he was growing up, and he would share with me. He studied karate. He would share with me that his teacher actually was in a wheelchair. And this is actually the second time in my life that I've heard someone where their original teacher or their teacher of martial arts was in a wheelchair. What does that say for that teacher? It speaks volumes.
Yes, definitely.
It speaks volumes that you're able to communicate the knowledge of the martial arts to your students in a way that they can apply it practically.
This guy has been a major influence in my teaching of jiu-jitsu, but also I'm a teacher by trade. I teach in an international school's PE, and I still use some of his techniques, because if you verbalize perfectly what students are expected to do, the results are much better than if you just show them, because not everybody work the same.
Yes.
Also true, there will be some students that won't be receptive to that.
Yes.
But because you already trained some students that were receptive to that, if the speaking doesn't work, you can always say, Anthony, go and show him that movement, and then it clicks. So it works very well. And yeah, this guy is a bit of a father figure for me as well. Like to this day, we don't train. I don't train this martial art anymore. But every time I go to my hometown, I would go and visit him, because he taught me discipline, but not discipline in the martial art. Discipline, be on time for training. If you miss a training, just give us a call. We're not going to be upset, but you just say, well, I can't come today, I've got that. Fine, no problem. And I still say that to my student. You have your life, you can't come, but just send me a message. So I know who's in the room, and I can make the training for the people in the room.
Exactly. And what was it that brought you to start that martial art in the very beginning?
Honestly, I still remember going to that gym and see these guys that were already black belt doing incredible things, like movie things, flying scissors and everything. And as a 12, 13 years old, I was like, oh, that's amazing, and I want to do that. No, with the time you understand that it's decorum. It's part of that. But as a matter of fact, you also train athleticism about that you can use in other aspects of the sport. So yeah, that was clearly the show aspect, and again, that's why also I'm relating back to GMA, because you have this kind of show of production value that is really amazing in traditional martial art.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I really believe that traditional martial arts have a role to play. We do have in Vietnam some amazing athletes. Kung Le was one of those, one of the first one here. He did Vietnamese martial art as well. It does work. Of course, you need to adapt to the competition system you're doing, but in MMA, it could work if you train properly.
Yeah, absolutely. So you started the Vietnamese traditional martial arts, and you became like a second-degree black belt, correct?
Yeah.
And then you came here to Vietnam for about 3 years. Is that correct?
Yes, 3 years in 2004 or something like that.
Okay, and then you went back to France in 2007.
Yes.
And then it's there when you started jiu-jitsu. Is that correct? So can you kind of take us through, like, why did you do that? Like, what was it, the thing that made you click to decide to do jiu-jitsu?
Right, so as I said, in Vo Co Truyen we have a little bit of ground, really tiny bit, but a little bit. And I like this aspect of the sport, so I want to learn. And at the time, UFC started, you see a lot of fights, so I was going on YouTube, showing the technique, and I still remember showing the YouTube when they were showing single legs to back tech, and I was like, that would never work. And then an advertisement popped up. Oh, Gracie Barra opening in my hometown. I went there. I'm a second-degree black belt. I'm gonna show them. They showed me. They showed me.
Oh my God!
Yeah, those white belt with 6 months was doing exactly that. Single leg me, put me to the ground, take my back, choke me, and I was like, all right, I love that. I want to learn how to do that, and I never stopped.
Wow, that's interesting. So how long did you train jiu-jitsu in France before you come back here to Vietnam?
Okay, so I trained jiu-jitsu about 2 years in France. Then I worked for the Olympics.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa. Touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. The Olympics in London, 2012.
Okay.
So, 3 years. 3 years in France doing jiu-jitsu. Then I moved in 2010, 2011 in England to prepare for the London Olympics.
Yep.
Not very interesting. I was just logistic manager there in London, but that was amazing. And then I said, I want to continue jiu-jitsu, and I moved to Woolwich, which is a dodgy part of London, but I loved it. And started to train jiu-jitsu there again. Got my blue belt there under Dan Vinny, which is still my coach. At the time, he was not a black belt, so that was our teacher who gave me the blue belt. And then the teacher left, and Dan took over, and then Dan has been my coach forever, and I'm so grateful because he's an amazing fighter.
He is an amazing fighter. He's a pretty funny guy too.
Yes, yeah.
When you were in London, was that during the time when Hodger was there?
Yes. Yeah.
And how were you able to meet Hodger?
I met him a couple of times. I never trained under him. But fun story, one of the guys that trained with us at the beginning is now one of the top black belt of Roger Gracie.
Okay.
Yeah, Faris is now one of the top. I think he did silver in the mondials. So,
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, good guys. I really hope I can make him come to Vietnam. I'd love him because it's such old school Roger Gracie jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to the mount, choke you. I'm gonna take the back, choke you.
Roger, man.
Yeah.
What a absolute legend in gi and no gi.
Yeah.
Just like annihilating. You know,
Yeah.
even in no gi, like in ADCC, I think he won without being even scored on in his division and in absolute back in the day. That's.
But at the time in London, everybody speak about Roger, but you also had Lagato, world champion. You had Leo Nagao, world champion. You had so many great guys in London. London, it was the place to be at the time. Was the place to be. Again, also the gym was a small gym, but we had access to all these guys. So
yeah, that's incredible that he had access to that. You know, at such a young age.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's like in soccer, football. If you want to meet Zidane, good luck. But in jiu-jitsu, you can meet Roger Gracie. Yeah,
you can.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing about our sport.
Exactly. You can meet your legend. It's completely fine. So yeah, that was London for about 6-7 years. Got purple and almost brown in London, and then I got a call from the UFC gym that was opening here. They were looking for a teacher. They actually were looking more for a black belt, but at the time I was about to get my brown, and I was just say, well, been in Vietnam, I speak English, I speak French, I speak Vietnamese, and they're like, okay, they put me into the pool of people, and I got the job. I don't know how, but I got the job at the UFC gym and taught at the UFC gym for 4 years.
Great.
That was great.
And what year was it when you started at the UFC gym?
2016, 17, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And after COVID, the UFC gym closed, and for licensing, they couldn't do jiu-jitsu anymore because they didn't have the thingy. So worked them a little. Plus, COVID was there, so I went back to my trade, which is a PE teacher, and opened my own gym. So now I've got Thao Dien Jiu-Jitsu. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Italian Jiu-Jitsu. I was very impressed when I came, when I visited you guys for the very first time. A lot of talent in the room.
I'm lucky, yeah.
A lot of humility there. No one really talks a lot there. And that was actually the first time I met Kai.
Yeah.
And I had a roll with Kai. And I was like, who is this kid? And how haven't I heard about this kid? You know, and I was very impressed by the way that you guys kind of run the class and everything. So
yeah, we try to. We know our place. First of all, we're a small club. No need to brag. Oh, we're the best. There's probably ton of gym better than us in Vietnam, all over the world. But we're a bunch of friends that train together. I'm saying that a lot, and I write articles for JITS magazine from time to time.
Yes.
And my next one will be on that. I think to be a good teacher, what you have to do is build a room. That's it. Build a room. And know what your room is about. My room is mostly hobbyists that like to be together, but they love jiu-jitsu. That's it. So I'm not training pro fighter. I'm not training people that will will the mondial. We train people that are happy together. You happy to train there. We do compete from time to time because we know it's important for development, but we're not a competition club. It's just that some people that compete. And again, I'm lucky because building that room brings some talented people. So it's not a reflection on my teaching. It's a reflection on being generally nice.
Bringing a community together.
Yes.
You know, that shares the same values and things like that. So you've seen a lot of change and a lot of growth.
Yes.
Not only in grappling, but in MMA and martial arts.
Definitely. Definitely.
Here in Vietnam, and you're one of the only people that I know of who've actually taken the time to sit down and write an article about, like, hey, this is what's going on in Vietnam grappling. These are the key gyms. These are the competitions. This is what we have. This is what we lack. This is kind of what we need in the community. First, can you just kind of take us through a little bit on the differences between, you know, where grappling and martial arts was, you know, let's say 8-10 years ago,
Yeah, sure.
and where we are today?
Okay. So when I arrived in Saigon, I think there were only 3 black belts in Saigon. Arnaud Lepont at the UFC gym.
Of course.
Who else was there? Of course, To Kimura was there, and I think Luis at SCC. When I strictly arrived, maybe there were some other people. Maybe some other people were there, but my mind is not. I'm not clever enough to remember. But there was not a lot of people. What I mean. Now there is about 10, 12 black belt here at the moment in Saigon.
Yes.
So there was not a lot of club. Everybody was kind of doing their own things, and there was small, not a lot of color belt as well. So we were highly relying on visitors. When visitor was coming with the purple belt, it was a big event. I was like, yeah, purple belt. Like, we can learn from this guy that's coming from the US, from Europe, England, wherever in Australia, wherever in the world. And so that was early stage. Nothing, no one knew about jiu-jitsu much. And actually, the first competition we did in jiu-jitsu was here in Dien Phu. Yes.
Here at Dien Phu.
Yeah, in Dien Phu.
Wow.
In Dien Phu.
What year was that?
I think it was 2017 or 18.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember I had a fight with Paul at the time.
You had a fight with Paul?
Yeah, Paul
really?
Vergen. Yeah, that was my first fight.
Paul Vergen.
Paul Vergen.
Oh,
the only one.
Oh, I didn't know about this. Tell us about that.
Oh, well, that was great. Again, there was mostly white belt, so it was only white belt competing from, I think it was Dien Phu, maybe a few guys from SCC, UFC gym at the time, which was my gym, and Kimura.
Okay.
And we were all there, and it was good. It was fun. It was meeting everybody. Everybody was there. And the fight with Paul, but Paul is good. That's the only thing I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So were there? So let's go back. Let's go back to that. What was the feeling? How many weight classes were there?
There was no weight class.
No weight class.
No, there was no weight class. That was like, let's bring everybody together. Okay, you're big, you're kind of big, you're gonna go together. You're small, you kind of small, you go together. You're a girl. Do you have a girl that willing? Yeah, girl. Okay, that was that. But that's what you need. You need to start somewhere. You can't, if you expect to have like a 66 kg together and 77 kg together, you will never make things happen. And that's what you do as well with Saigon Saga. Let's make things happen. We don't have to wait to be completely perfect. We take it, we make it happen, and we make it better after.
Exactly. Wow. So let's go back to that competition here at Dien Phu. Was this like the first real community competition where a lot of people were meeting each other for the first time?
That I'm aware of. There were, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there were some smaller even before, or even that I was not aware about. But that's the first one I participated in and witnessed. And yes, that was that. Like a lot of people were there talking, or people were competing here. Okay. Kotani was there. I remember Kotani. Yes. Kotani was there. Thao was there. No, it was a fun event. It was a really fun event.
Yeah, fantastic.
And after that, we had Saigon Open, I think, that happened after in SCC.
Yeah.
And that's it. But at the time, there was no real opportunity to compete in Vietnam, so that was great.
Absolutely excellent. We'll get more into grappling and its evolution later, but what have you seen in terms of mixed martial arts, MMA, the growth of it in Vietnam over the last 8 to 10 years?
So basically, when Vietnam legalized MMA, I really feel like a massive influx. That benefits grappling as well.
And what year was that?
I don't remember. That's not so long ago. I'd say maybe just before COVID or just after. It was around that time.
Okay, so 5 years.
I'd say something like that. Again, I'm not too sure, but yeah, it was great. It was obviously, we had like a few unsanctioned MMA even, like everything. For things to happen, for government to legislate on something, they need to see that something is happening. So there was unsanctioned even. I'm pretty sure Dien Phu had a few as well before being GMA and everything. They had a few, but it was not really unsanctioned. You can't find a fight on chair dogs or things like that, but there were a few. But the first event was obviously Lion, and that was great to see something coming. They did something, props to them, they did something pretty great when they started. So
yeah, of course.
That was great, and I think Vietnam is a very proud people. And proud people tend to love martial arts.
Yes.
Therefore, it could only work. So now a lot of people say, wow, that thing, I like it. I want to do that. And now you can see a lot of MMA gym coming in, a lot of, and that attract people from abroad that come, talent from the country also growing up and say, well, I can do that. And now they can earn a living with it. So no, yeah, it has clearly exploded.
It's absolutely exploded in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons and factors for that. One of the things, as you touched on, is, you know, the national pride and the resilience of the Vietnamese people.
Yeah, incredible.
You know, and it's just like just a couple years ago, you know, like in Lion Championship allows all nationalities to compete. So it's like you got folks from Brazil, like Russia, like Tajikistan. You got the United States,
United Kingdom.
United Kingdom. Now they're up against, you know, Vietnamese people who haven't had the training that they've had. And just 2 years ago, you know, it was there was like, wow, you know, like what is it going to take for a Vietnamese to win, you know, the Lion Championship, to win these belts?
It's starting already.
I'm telling you guys right now, like, how much resilience and pride and how much drive the Vietnamese have within them.
Yeah.
You know, it is going to happen. And we saw the match with Felipe.
And
you know, which was shocking to a lot of people. But you can tell that guy trained hard. He trained hard, and he had a vision, and he had a mission. He trained every single day.
Yeah.
And it was a big moment.
It was a big moment
For Vietnam mixed martial arts, and it showed the world that, look, you know, Vietnam is here.
Yes.
Vietnam is on the map, and Vietnam is exploding so fast, and it's an incredible thing to see.
You are absolutely right. I think this fight between Felipe and E is a key moment in the history of MMA for many reasons.
Yes.
For many reasons. Felipe is my friend. I love him to bits.
As well.
I'm rooting for him. I want him to do well in One Champion. Is on top of being an incredible athlete, is a very good human being. Like, I love him to bits. I don't know him personally, but he is training under my coach, Dan Vinny, at the Champ back in Hanoi.
Yes.
And Dan told me before, it's like, you don't know the power the guy has on his hand. Like, he has. I never saw a guy that size eating so hard. So if it stays on the feet, like, he's got a chance. And that's what he shows. He shows how to address a world-class grappler, in the cage, and did it. And also, something very important. He got drafted by the UFC Talent Institute, I don't remember. So he had a training in China in the UFC Talent Institute, which I'm sure helped him. And also, he won. Props to him. Great to see a Vietnamese champion. And on top of that, I want to address that the reaction of Felipe, top notch.
Great. It was so good. It wasn't long after that. I was just driving down Swan Tweed, and I just stopped, and that's to Felipe. I was like, Felipe, man, I saw the last fight, and my heart goes out to you. And he's like, man, you know what? It happens. And he trained hard. He owned it. And I have a lot of respect for Felipe because of that.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. And he told me, because he trained a little bit with us before his fight, he said, I want to show that I'm an MMA fighter. So he went out of his comfort zone to entertain the Vietnamese public.
Exactly.
To go in the field of the guy is maybe trained better than him.
Yeah,
Man,
for sure.
You have to have some, sorry about language, but massive balls to go there. He could literally go, take down the guy, do his jiu-jitsu, and everybody say, no, so okay, we're going to trade a little bit. And next time, maybe the issue will be the outcome will be different.
And that's props to Felipe for doing that.
Massively.
Because I mean, like when Felipe was doing the MMA fights, you know, using his grappling, the matches were over in seconds.
Yes.
I mean, like 89 seconds or something like that. But he chose to stand on his feet, and so massive props.
Definitely.
To Felipe.
But key moment for Vietnamese MMA, because you show that Vietnamese, they can stand with world-class guys, the guys that fight in international promotion, and no, ONE FC is like taking guys from Vietnam, so it's great.
Yep.
Really great.
So now let's talk about MMA promotions here inside of Vietnam.
Yep.
And then globally.
Yep.
And and then how that relates to Gods of Martial Arts here. So what we've seen on the global scene, of course, we all know UFC. We all know like one championship, and that's really what got MMA off the ground. And now people understand what MMA is, and most people know what UFC is. Take us through a little bit about the MMA promotions here in Vietnam that you've seen in the last 8 years, and how it's evolved to the first GMA show that you came here.
Yeah.
It was back in October, I believe.
Something like that, yeah. Well, UFC, we all know what it is. ONE FC is a bit less known, except if you're a fan, people do it. I don't really know what to say about the UFC, because the UFC is what it is. That's what started everything in the world of mixed martial art. Promotion in Vietnam, there was not so much at the beginning. Lion started. No, we've got foreign promotion as well, like Angel FC is coming in Vung Tau. You have Arena of Fighter as well, which is doing a nice promotion. Obviously Lion, I think I've touched on that. What I'm saying and what I'm seeing is the main issue is everybody got different rule sets. I know Lion addressed it, and also thank you, Lion, because they invited me for the rules meeting. I couldn't attend because it was in Hanoi, but they're trying their best. But every promotion has that different rule set, which is not as close as the unified MMA rules. And GMA is the closest to the unified rule. And that's what you need.
Absolutely.
You need a promotion where people can compete, get some experience, then they will be able to go to the UFC, train in the same unified rule. Like again, my coach Dan won his fight in Angel FC, and everybody was, but that's a bit weird. I'm like, but you compete in a rule set, you apply that rule set. That's
Johnny Depp Chai.
Johnny Depp Chai, my man Johnny Depp Chai, which is,
oh my God.
Shout out to the coach, is fighting bare knuckle in the US in 2 weeks.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
So I have my own story. When I first came to Gods Martial Arts, I heard about it and everything, and it's just so magical. What was it like? I've been to other MMA, like went to Lion Championship, and I did all these things and things like that. What was your feeling when you first walked in here at Lee and Vom at Gods of Martial Arts? What were some of the things that stood out to you that where you knew Gods of Martial Arts was different?
Okay. So, very simple. I was there at the door, waiting to get the entrance, and I don't hear like Vina house music or big music. I'm like, wow, okay, different. Vietnamese music, Vietnamese artists. Then I get in and I see the setup. I'm like, wow, I'm in blood sport. And again, I'm a 90 kid. I'm in blood sport. That was beautiful. The way the ring is. I know it sounds silly, but for me, I want to be entertained. In GMA, I am entertained. Not only by the fighter, which are excellent, very good technically, but the promotion value. Like the ring with the dragon head. That's fantastic. The picture that you still have on the wall, that looks amazing. And maybe it's a bit touchy, but still, ring girls.
Yeah, like, angels. GMA angels.
GMA angels. Yeah. I mean, the fact that they're dressed like that, one could say kind of a Zen top thing, I find it much more entertaining and much nicer than to have bikini girls. Like honestly,
of course,
I find that's so cool. That's so cool because it respects the woman, it respects the Vietnamese woman.
Yes,
that's beautiful. Absolutely love it. And the fighter is amazing. The way the refereeing is doing as well in GMA, I love that. I'm a ground guy. I love ground fighting. However, nothing happened. We stand them up. I know I'm gonna get few ground people a bit upset about that, but that's what it is. This is not grappling. This is MMA, and this is a show. It should still be a show, and it forced this jiu-jitsu guy to hand submission, hand the top position to do their ground and pound, and just not lay and pray. So
lay and pray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I really enjoy that. And oh yeah, the banners when the fighter enters.
Yes.
Really cool. It's really cool. Like if I had a friend that doesn't know about MMA, I bring them to Bellator, 1FC, UFC. Yes, I'm sure they'll have a good time, but they won't be wow. If I've got someone that doesn't know MMA, I bring him to GMA, they're like, wow. And I have that. I have a few friends that do not know anything about MMA, and they came because they had nothing to do, and I bring them there. Yeah. They follow the whole season. They went all the way to Vo Co to watch the end because they're like, oh, that's so cool.
It's like, if I were to describe GMA in one word, it'd be enchanting.
Yes.
Like it is such a magical experience.
Yes.
To come here. I tell all my friends about it. They don't even know what mixed martial arts is, but I promise you come here, it's like a magical place.
Exactly.
Where MMA is happening, and you have all these different. Well, this year in 2025, last year was all, as you know, we had 3 events, all Vietnamese fighters.
Yep.
Where they're just testing they're testing the promotion, and they're also celebrating Vietnam martial arts at the same time. And this year we're adding 5 more countries.
Good.
It's Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, and Thailand. So all of those countries, as we all know, have their own ancient martial arts traditions.
Yes.
And this year, for the first time ever, we're going to have all of these Southeast Asian martial arts traditions on one stage with Hollywood-level cinematic production, where we're celebrating, not only the traditions, but treating each fighter as a celebrity, and they're compensated for that, and they are given prizes for that. Yeah. And these prizes, these belts, are a true piece of art, and it's incredible to see it. So we've got 8 events this year coming up. So we got 4 Vietnam events and 4 international events. And basically what's happening is the Vietnamese, they're having their own tournament, right? And which gets to the finals, and the international, with those 5 countries I just mentioned, they're going to have that. And the winner of those 2 larger brackets are going to end at the very end of the culminating international finals at the very end of the year, which will be in December. We're going to see that.
Nice.
So what do we have here? We've got you got the Vietnamese traditional martial arts.
Yes.
We have Muay Thai.
Yes.
Of course. We have Kun Khmer.
Yes.
We have Lethwei.
Lethwei, yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, this year we do not have any Laotian fighters.
Okay.
This year we don't have any, but we also have the Malaysian MMA fighters, where at least the amateur MMA promotion scene in Malaysia, there are a lot.
Yes.
So they do have a lot of fighters there, mainly amateur, some pro. So they probably have like the most MMA experience of all of these countries combined. Yeah. So every country.
Thailand has a lot as well.
Thailand has a lot. Just being an international recruiter, you have. It's hard to get. A lot of Thai folks, they just want to do Muay Thai.
Yeah.
They just want to do Muay Thai. So there's not as many MMA fighters, but if you have a really good Muay Thai fighter, a really good one who's really good at the clinch, you're not going to have to teach them too much to transition.
Definitely.
Because they're going to have good stand-up, they're going to have good takedown defense, they're going to be good on their feet, they're good at the bounce, they're good.
Exactly.
They're good at everything. So ask you this.
Yeah.
How do you think these ancient traditions are going to match up? Like, what's going to happen with the Lethwei fighter against a Muay Thai fighter? What do we expect this year?
But that's what we want to see. That's exactly what we want to see. We don't know, and nobody knows. If someone can predict, please tell me how you do that, because we don't know. Obviously, everybody now is aware of what the other people are doing. We're at a time where Lethwei fighter, they know exactly what a Muay Thai fighter, what a jiu-jitsu guy will do. So they know they can prepare within respecting their own tradition. So I'm really, really interested in see what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm decent, not very good, but decent with my stand-up. Thai guy put me in a clinch. I'm useless. I'm useless. If they're really good, they're just balancing me all around, and you're like, oh, but I wanted your leg. No, it's not happen. So yeah, you have to respect that. Like, you have to respect every traditional martial art because they add value. They add value to the general knowledge of the science of martial arts. So to answer your question, I don't know what's going to play out, but I'm really excited to see it.
It's super exciting to see because you have all of these traditional the ancient martial arts. You know, all these martial arts are older than the United States by far.
Yeah.
You know, and now you're going into an arena with a rule set that no one is really that used to.
Yep.
So what we're seeing already is, the Cambodians and the folks in Myanmar, they're starting to realize what's the prestige and the MMA promotions that are really solidifying and combining here in Southeast Asia, and people are starting to realize, okay, all right, now we've got to learn MMA, now we've got to learn grappling, now we've got to learn a little bit of wrestling. So you're starting to see these amateur fighters or these fighters who've been doing Kun Khmer or Muay Thai, and they're starting to be like, okay, now we've really got to start leveling up, and we've got to adapt and innovate so that we can go to Gods of Martial Arts and compete in these international promotions for this prestige, for this promotion that truly celebrates the legacy of the country and the martial art that they come from.
Definitely. Like, to quote my old teacher, the guy in the wheelchair, that's what he was saying to us. Like, we could go train wrestling, we could go train whatever. He said, just keep a base, then add everything you want, but just keep your base and add these things to your base. And I think that's what those guys will do. Like, they will surely need a little bit of wrestling, they will need a little bit of jiu-jitsu, they will need a little bit of everything, but their base, lightweight fighter will elbow you. That's what's going to happen. They will, no headbutt, but they will elbow you.
Yeah, they will elbow you, but in terms of left way, they're used to not having gloves.
Yes.
So it doesn't take as much to knock someone out.
No.
It doesn't take as much. You hit them in the ribs and things like that. So they're going to have to adapt a little bit too, because they're going to have to punch harder to get a knockout.
Yes.
They're not going to be able to use their head. They're not going to be able to use some of the things that they're used to. So it's going to be an interesting.
Yes, it's going to be extremely interesting. But GMA has always been interesting. It's just going to be more interesting.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, I'm super excited. Plus, I've got a guy competing in GMA from Thao Jiu-Jitsu, Lap. And
okay.
I hope he'll do well. I hope he'll do well. And we hired at Thao Jiu-Jitsu a new coach for MMA, Vinod. Vinod is from Malaysia, so he knows the he knows the Malaysian scene. So that's going to be great. We're going to prepare him.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the relationship between the growth of these MMA promotions here in Vietnam and how that relates to grappling.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is your view?
Well, I think grappling was there for a long time. MMA came, but when MMA came, it created a vacuum for grappling because they realized you need grappling. You need grappling, and the folks at CATH showed that as well, that with great grappling you could do real damage in the division.
Yes, for sure.
So so now you got a lot of people that want to do grappling. I got people coming, knocking on, I want to learn grappling because I want to do MMA. I already done 12 years of Muay Thai. I was like, that's pretty much, you do need that, otherwise it's not going to go super well. So yes, the growth of MMA bring more people into grappling. There's still a huge work to do, but I think we've got all the assets here in Saigon and back in Hanoi as well, in Vietnam, all around the place. We've got some fantastic grapplers. Like, you got amazing Vietnamese talent. You got Son back in the north, like national champion. You got Ming, the girl in Da Nang, which is amazing.
Yes.
In Saigon, we've got so many people, it's going to be too long to name. We've got some wrestler guys coming. One guy is called Zac. I don't know if you know. He's got an amazing wrestling.
Tell me more about this guy.
So there's some guy that can help us in our wrestling and every department. So no, MMA is growing because of that. The grappling is growing because of MMA. Not only, but because of MMA. There's also another impact is that Vietnam is a sweet country. That's the best country in the world.
Yes.
And
yes,
you
it
see
is.
people coming and they're like, oh, I was just visiting, but I think I'm going to settling here. Rob Diggle is like, loves Vietnam now.
Yeah.
Of course, he's still traveling everywhere, but we've got like world caliber guys here. We've got Alan Shibaro that just came and told me yesterday, I think I want to settle here. We've got a lot of people that are like very accomplished grappler, people I was looking up as a blue, purple belt that's not here. So to touch back on what we said, maybe Vietnam is going to be the London of Europe. Maybe Saigon will be, maybe Hanoi will be, where if you're in Southeast Asia, you've got to come here because this is where the grappling scene is.
We have the potential to really be a grappling hub in Southeast Asia, and there's so many things that people overlook, and that's why it hasn't been growing as fast. But as you mentioned, just 5 years ago, everything has been legalized, and it is growing at an exponential rate.
Yeah.
It's crazy how fast it's growing.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about grappling competitions in Vietnam.
Yes.
From the perspective, if you look at, the average Vietnamese person cannot afford to go and fly to Malaysia and Thailand and Bali because it's very expensive.
It is.
It might cost you like $500 to $1,000 once you pay for your plane tickets, your hotel. To register for an ADCC tournament, it can cost you up to $100, and whatever else you do during the trip, you want to take advantage of it, right? When I was growing up, when I was 14, 15 years old,
you could wrestle every weekend.
I'm 40. I'm turned 40 this year.
Me too.
But
I'm 42.
But the thing is, I could compete for $5.
Yeah.
Literally $5, and I would just get a ride with my buddy's dad, and we'd go over to West Virginia, and we do these tournaments that were just thrown together like in a high school gym, but like. You could literally, the registration was $5. You want to do two-way class, it's $10, right? Okay. So let's take it back a little bit.
Do you know how much it was in France to compete?
What was it?
$30 per year.
Per year?
Yeah.
No way.
You just pay a license, $30, and then there's the federation that put this event. Maybe not every weekend, but every month you would have one. So you could, for $30, that cover your insurance, that cover everything, because basically sport is subsidized by the government in France.
Oh, wow.
So it cost me nothing to train in France.
Wow. Well, the French, they're pretty good at judo.
Yes.
One of the best in the world at judo, because you look at, if you were to look at like gold medals, Japan's got like 70, and the next highest is like France and Korea around like 15 to 17 gold medals. Unfortunately, the United States, I think we have like 1 or 0.
But you got Ronda Rousey. Who got,
that's true. We do have Ronda Rousey, but the French, when it comes to judo, is really good.
You have to understand that in France, every little village, the tiniest village in France with 200 people, they will have a judo dojo.
Really?
It's everywhere in France. Almost every kid I know did at least 1 or 2 years of judo.
Really?
Yes, because it's so cheap, accessible, extremely, extremely well-trained teachers that goes to a school that got diplomas to teach. It's not your random Joe that did judo for 10 years that teach you. It doesn't work like that. You have to be certified. So everybody does that. So yes, they've got talent. Well, judo is the second sport in France. Football and judo.
So that's interesting. And so what happened? Like, why is that? Like, why is there so much of a judo presence in France?
I guess because there is room to practice. So, and it's very cheap. And also it's in the culture of French people too. So they teach kids extremely well. They don't teach them judo, but you bring your kids 4 years old to a judo club, he'll have fun on the mat, he'll fall on the mat, he knows to roll, he knows to get pushed and push back. Honestly, you really have, for me, to compare the French judo with the American wrestling. You know how to train your wrestler. We know how to train our judo guy. And that's why you're good at wrestling. We're terrible at wrestling. We're good at judo. You're not that good at judo in the US.
That's true. We're terrible.
Yeah, so
we're terrible at judo.
That's what it is. But so that's what it is for France. But
that's interesting. I did not know about that.
Yeah.
But to go back to
Vietnam.
grappling competitions and opportunities
Yes.
for not only foreigners but the Vietnamese over
Yes.
the last 8 years,
Yes.
can you share a little bit about that?
Well, yeah. So National did a great job. National, obviously, it's only for Vietnamese citizen, but National were really great. Help promote jiu-jitsu tones. I really like the fact that they got rid of the belt, just weight class, and then you see who's the best in that weight class. I mean, jiu-jitsu, we have all those belt system, which is, I love it. It's great. It's an acknowledgement of your effort and everything. But competition, in wrestling, you don't have belt. In Sambo, you don't have belt.
We don't have that.
So that's it. Like, let's do your weight class, and you see purple belt that will demolish black, white belt that do extremely well against purple.
Yes.
That's what it should be. And then they have that. So that's great. However, I think we need more. We need more. I also want to touch on the fact that Hanoi is very well organized for competition.
They are organized.
But they focus on those competitions, national and abroad.
Yes.
Whether here in Saigon, maybe it's due to the culture, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're more doing super fights, ADCC, those kind of events. We're not doing the whole creator Ho Chi Minh team or stuff like that. It will happen for sure.
Yeah.
I've already been approached by several guys from the government and the judo federation and say, "Oh, Pierre, can you help us doing like linking together?" I'm not sure it's my place to do so. I'm happy to help.
You mean like in terms of what exactly?
They would like to see Ho Chi Minh doing like Hanoi. They would like Ho Chi Minh to federate more in targeting those big SEA Games, those kind of things. Because if you look at the SEA Games, mostly people from the north, that goes. So they would like to see that happening. Whether here, because the way the scene is, we're doing like the Saigon saga, we're doing the stuff.
Saigon super fights.
Yes, Saigon super fight. Sorry, yeah. So that's a bit different. I think culturally it's a bit different. But yeah, we need more competition. C88 did a great job. It's been a while we haven't had a C88 competition. I hope they put it back because, again, as you said, I got students that are like here in the army. They don't have a lot of money. They don't have the right to go outside if they're in the army and the police.
Yes.
So they need to compete in Vietnam. So yeah, I'd like to see those things so that they can improve, they can test themselves.
Yeah,
really see that.
Yeah, I think it's important for an MMA fighter to go in and compete in grappling.
Yes.
So that they can do better in the ring.
Yep.
You know, because they might face a Felipe, and
Good luck.
once Felipe gets on top of you, it's,
well, even in the bottom, to be honest.
It's tough. But let's talk about the Vietnamese grappling community. Relatively, under-resourced community. If you compare it to, Brazil or the United States or even in France and parts of Europe and especially in London, what do we need and what can we do to increase competitions here in Vietnam so that it's affordable to the Vietnamese and provides them opportunities to compete internationally?
But you do that, Zach, when you organize the Saigon Super Fight, the Saigon Saga thing. That's what we need. We need affordable, repetitive event. We need a community that stick together. I mean, jiu-jitsu community worldwide, whereas in France, in the UK, in Brazil, in the US, there's tension. Let's get rid of that tension. I mean, we all want the same. We all want our students to be good. Our students, they want to enjoy themselves. When there's no need to bicker together.
Exactly.
And if we do that properly, we'll succeed. We'll show to the people in charge that there is a strong community. Please invest in us. Please give us a platform.
Exactly. I think it's like, a lot. If you look at what jiu-jitsu was 20 years ago or 10 years ago, there was a lot of tension.
Yeah.
Because the Brazilians have these strong traditions, and once heel hooks and things like that started to come into the scene, they didn't really accept it. It's not really jiu-jitsu, but now it's definitely a part of jiu-jitsu. You have to, basically, if you don't know leg locks, you're not really going to be able to compete, at the professional level. And there's a lot of, like, in smaller communities, let's say it's a town of 200,000 people, okay? okay, you might have 4 gyms, and okay, there's tension between these 4 gyms, and that might be a stronger hurdle. But we here in a city of, you know, between 13 and 16 million people, depending on who you ask, you know, and how many people do jiu-jitsu? Like 1,000 people, maybe 1,500 people. There's absolutely no reason why we cannot all combine our resources, assets, and capabilities to provide more opportunities for the Vietnamese grapplers and for Vietnamese MMA fighters who are coming through Gods of Martial Arts and these other promotions so that they can have a real chance at competing on the international scene. So that being said, what are some things that you can that you see? You've been here a lot longer than I have. You know, I'm relatively new in martial arts, honestly. I really am, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of went to as many gyms as possible to learn from folks like yourself. What's one thing that we can do as a community to kind of unite and provide more opportunities where we all grow as a community instead of just one gym or 2 gyms?
As you said, put resources together, accept each other, that we teach different things, we teach differently, but I think everybody wants the best for their student. Just let's do that, and platforms like super fights, like small events. The Vietnamese has a term that I really like, giao lưu, which means exchanging. We need to exchange. We need to exchange in as many ways as possible. What I'm starting to do with my club, and I'm really welcoming everybody to do the same, I invite gyms. So yesterday we invited D3 Pandemonium Jiu-Jitsu to come. We invited Maui to come, and in 1 month, we can't do it every Saturday because I'm a lazy boy, but once a month we'll invite maybe Arcane to come, maybe, and then just we share. We'll have Pato from Arcane show how he does an arm triangle, which is probably different than the way I do an arm triangle, and that's it. And then we invite every other gym that want and create their thing. Like, I'd love to have Soy Jiu-Jitsu coming as well. Those folks are amazing, and I don't know them.
They are great.
I know of them, but I never really train with them, and they're crazy good when you see their guys. Come and show me how you train those guys, because the way they introduce leg locks, like, oh, that's very interesting. So doing that.
What we can do is we can have like a community day where we bring all gyms together. We find a space, maybe it's K1, maybe it's somewhere else.
But I tried to do that this year again, but last year we had this seminar, 12 hours of jiu-jitsu, where 1 hour we had the gym teaching, 1 hour open mat, then another coach. And we had Kotani teaching, we had Corey teaching, we had Gilberto teaching, we had myself teaching, we had Dan teaching, we had who else come and teach? We had a lot of people from there. So 6 teachers teach on things different, and all the things that I asked was toy to get into it.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And then that was the whole community. And if you don't like one teacher, you don't have to come. But I would strongly advise you to come, because you might learn a thing or two. I've learned a lot during that. And this year I tried to do it, but because there was a lot of competition, it was hard to put together. I also learned my lesson in the sense that bringing a toy is not the good idea, because the orphanage, I bring the toy, I was so happy, and they look at me like, oh, thank you very much, but that doesn't pay the bill, the electricity bill. And who's going to get the football? Who's going to get the Lego set that costs $100? So next time I'll just ask milk and rice to get in, and that they're okay with. And we'll do it. So we can do even like that. We can do that, no problem. So that's the thing, the kind of platform we need, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of different creative things that we can do, and I think that we as a community can communicate more with one another and find resources and find a common, because we all really want the same thing.
Exactly.
We all want the growth of jiu-jitsu, and this is a perfect place to do it. Where the Vietnamese and the foreigners really work well together in a way that, I've never really seen anything this special anywhere that I've been in the world in terms of the fusion of the locals and the foreigners. When it comes to martial arts, the Vietnamese are so easy to work with and so open.
Like I got a
learning.
few, one of my guys that trained with me is a purple belt now. Ben, he said he started jiu-jitsu not because he did judo, he's a black belt in judo, but he didn't really want it to, but he did jiu-jitsu, but it stayed because he said,
Yeah.
this is the only place where I actually interact with Vietnamese on another level than buying something, having a business discussion. I've got a real interaction, I understand better the culture, the way of thinking. So yes, when you're doing jiu-jitsu, you're not only choking each other, you're sharing much more than that.
Yeah,
So,
you're sharing culture, and,
Yes.
and with grappling, it's very different. You know, when I first started traveling internationally, like 10 years ago or so, I would just go to to the restaurants and bars and things like that. But when I can go to, and this goes for anyone, you can go to any city in the world, go to a grappling
yeah,
class, and immediately have
connections.
with people you can trust.
Yep.
And a lot of times those connections turn into lifelong
Definitely.
relationships and friendships, and that's what's beautiful about grappling, and that's what's beautiful about martial arts in general.
Definitely, like to share a very simple example, very quick. Alan Shibaro, that did the seminar yesterday.
Yes.
I met him 8 years ago in London.
Oh, wow.
He done the seminar with Chris Outner. I don't know if you know
Okay.
Chris Outner. Alan Shibaro is the student of Chris Outner. Chris Outner was the first American to receive his black belt in
Okay.
Jiu-Jitsu. Very old school guy. So Alan Shibaro and Chris Outner did a seminar in London in my gym.
Yes.
And like I see him at Saigon Saga, like, Saigon Super
Saigon
Fight.
Super Fights.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
see him,
yeah.
it's like, oh, you're here. Could you do a seminar in my gym? I said, sure, no problem. I know you, no problem.
Yeah, I kind of got lucky because Liam,
Yeah.
Reskinov,
Yeah.
he was on our show like about a year or so ago. What a humble guy.
Yeah.
He was actually on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
He never mentioned that. I actually just kind of found out, and
Yeah.
it was only because of Liam.
Yeah.
And he introduced us to Alan.
Yeah.
And Alan was like, hey, I'll do whatever you guys need me to do. And I was like, hey, can you please be a judge? Can you please be a ref? And he's a 5th degree
Yes.
black belt. I've certainly never met. These are truly unicorns. Like,
Yes.
how many 5th degree black belts are there in the world?
I'm
really?
not too sure.
I
I'm
mean,
not too
there's
sure.
not there's not a lot.
No, there's
you
not
know?
at all.
I mean, we only have what you said, like 25 or 30 black belts in Vietnam.
It
at the
might have
moment.
changed recently because few guys got belted, but yeah, about that in the whole Vietnam, about that. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
and you have to realize that the first Vietnamese black belt was 3 years ago.
Yes.
First Vietnamese, no, because they were Thao had this black belt before, but he studied in the US. That's the first homegrown black belt. Was 3 years ago. So started jiu-jitsu in Vietnam, studied in Vietnam, got a black belt in Vietnam. Ming, that was the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've seen a lot of growth. We see a lot of potential here in Vietnam. We're seeing the first MMA promotion that's truly celebrating ancient
Yes.
ancient martial arts tradition.
Yes.
Putting it on in cinematic Hollywood
Yes.
production in a very unique way. As you said before, the music is magical.
Yes.
The GMA angels are magical,
Yes.
and this is really, it's really cool because even if you don't know anything about martial arts, you come to a GMA event.
You're entertained.
They've already done the interviews with the fighters.
Yes.
The fighters have already told their stories. Like at the finals at Ho Tram. As the fighters are coming out during the dead time
Yeah.
of the show, you're seeing the fighters tell their story about martial arts and their growth and why they started, their training, and you're seeing that in cinematic production on the TVs throughout. So by the time the two fighters are inside the ring, the audience, even if someone who knows nothing about martial arts, understands the story of both fighters, which connects them with the fight, with that actual match in a way that personally I have never seen
No. Yeah.
in any promotion in the world. And that's why I'm personally very excited about Gods of Martial Arts and how it's going to really change the mixed martial arts scene globally.
I agree. I would say that what I really like with GMA is that they're not trying to reproduce the UFC, Bellator.
Exactly.
They're doing their own things.
Exactly.
And one thing, which is very important for me personally, and that what I love with GMA, is English is the second language. Vietnamese is the first.
That's right.
And lot of promotion.
right.
They're trying to do English. No. It's a Vietnamese promotion. We're in Vietnam. Vietnamese audience. That's our job, foreigner, to adapt to that. They will help you. They will help you. They will have you commentating in English. They will have people translating. But they're not conducting the interview in English or whatever. It is for this country. This is for Vietnam.
it is.
And I love that.
Yeah,
love
absolutely. Awesome. Anything else? Share a little bit about your student, Lap.
Yes.
Who is just take him through his grappling, his MMA, and
Lap is an interesting case. He's been teaching boxing and Thai boxing at K1 for as long as I can remember, before I even arrived in Vietnam. So he's an amazing stand-up artist. And as I said, he come back to, it's actually FX, a well-known in the community of stand-up in Vietnam, who told me, bro, I got a guy, he want to try MMA, but he doesn't have a lot of money. Can you train him in ground? I was like, sure. And now he's coming and he's repping us, Thao, Dien, jiu-jitsu, yeah. He competed in your fight, he won his fight.
Yes.
He's actually, that's what you said, like tremendous spirit. He dislocated his shoulder during his fight.
Really?
Yes, still finished it. And then he came back, he's like, I need to go doctor my shoulder. I was like, okay, Lap. So yeah, his ground needs some work, but he's putting the works in, but stand-up is up there. So I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited to see him do this.
I'm excited to see, and I think like these events that we had most recently, last weekend, this is a place where the community can come together. Some people meet some people for the first time. Very good ideas are created. We see good spirit from your student Lap. Yeah. And definitely excited to see him go on. So
he already competed in Lion 2 or 3 times, Arena Fighter 2 or 3 times. So no GMA, so we're excited.
Yeah, absolutely, and we can. So we're closing up toward the end of the show. We've got 8 events. Yes. This year. Cool.
I'll be there.
Can we expect you to
come?
To
God's of course. I'll be there. All the event I can, I'll be there. Happy to help, or just to watch. That's the best.
Yep. So the next event is going to be on 19 April. Okay. It's going to be a Vietnamese only event, and it's going to be right here at Dien Phalm. All the Vietnamese are able to come. All our foreigner friends. It's very easy to come down here to Dien Phalm. We do have some events that's going to be in Ho Tram this year. Some of the international events, don't know exactly how many at the time, but very excited. Gods of Martial Arts, the first real mixed martial arts promotion, truly celebrating ancient martial arts tradition while treating fighters as celebrities and really understanding and showcasing their story in a way it's never been done before. Pierre, thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming.
That was a pleasure.
And sharing all of your knowledge. I see you always a white belt, right?
Yes.
Always a white belt. You have on your social media, and that is the way that we should think. And you've inspired many to include myself. So,
thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, Pierre.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Good.
Awesome.